spend a lot of time with young computer scientists and physicists here, and one of our most important messages we try to teach them, a very important lesson to help them understand and explore, is that we don't see our universe the way it is. We see the universe the way we are, and what our limited senses and our human mind perceives is such a small microscopic part of that beautiful macroscopic universe that we're all part of. And that's a hard thing to overcome, but I've met some very intelligent and open-minded people here, and I think with your words and reinforcement, I'd just be an inspiration.
Well, I think you're saying exactly the right things. It's exposing young people to this larger view, this larger wisdom, and helping them learn that we're all a part of the same thing, and we're here to work together to make it better and to become a more knowledgeable, kind, loving, caring civilization, to work together on it. And that's a tough lesson to overcome, particularly with our years of battling about small things and competing and killing each other over small things as opposed to trying to cooperate and help us all survive better.
Wow, those are amazingly emotional and powerful words you just strung together there in about 30 seconds. I'm going to have to reflect on that a bit. I have to ask you, Dr. Mitchell, your work, you've done a tremendous amount of work bridging consciousness, science, and spirituality. It's been both remarkable and inspiring. How do you think people's view of science and spirituality will change in the future, and how do you think that's going to affect human society and life on Earth, based upon your experience and knowledge?
Okay. Well, these days, for the last several hundred years, in the Western world at least, science has become the way in which we try to understand the universe we're in better, and using the tools of evidence and trying to make it all fit together in a better way, as opposed to just relying upon our belief systems. And now in the Western world for the last 400 years, science has been handicapped, as it were, by what's called the Cartesian duality. Almost 400 years ago, the French thinker did a noble thing in one sense. He published the idea that body, mind, physicality, and spirituality belong to different realms of reality. Now that served the noble purpose. It got the Inquisition of the church off the backs of the intellectuals and quit burning them at the stake for disagreeing with the church. Unfortunately, the downside of it was that for 400 years, science has developed its paradigm, its thinking process around materialism, and avoided spirituality, mind, consciousness, and the things that go with being other than materialistic. Well, we're starting to overcome that now, or at least that's what we're trying to do, and it's going to take a lot of effort to realize that the tools of science and the methods of science are important, but nevertheless we have to go beyond strictly material concepts in order to find that epiphany, in order to find that new insight that is so drastically needed here.
Yeah, perhaps in a way, I agree. Sometimes we discuss here the challenges in overcoming that. In one way, when you look at what's coming out of the particle accelerators and super colliders and the new physics, it has more in common with that ancient wisdom. Maybe in a way that might help push some people.
Well, I think it absolutely will.
All right.
Yeah, it certainly will.
I understand that also a big part of your life was the establishment of the Noetic Institute. Could you tell us a little about the mission of the Noetic Institute and its importance?
Well, it's really just a follow-on to what I just said about overcoming the Cartesian duality and to knowing that mind and matter do interact, and that we see and interpret the world based upon our belief system. And a large portion of what has come out of the last few years is to understand this interconnectedness, this entanglement of everything. And it's called quantum entanglement and quantum resonance. And there's actually some good science that has been developed just in the last few years to demonstrate this. And it's called quantum holography. But the whole point is that was what I was trying to do years ago in establishing Noetics, was to bring this message and what we've been talking about here of insight and epiphany and marvel at the unity of everything in and bring science and the spiritual experience into a common understanding. And we're succeeding in doing that. And the conversations like we're having right now, and having people use the tools of science but recognize it goes beyond just materialism and the way things are, the material way things are put together. That's very important, and I think we're making progress on it.
Well, I know your message about us all being connected and part of that same wonderful web of energy or life or universe is a very big picture. But if you look at the first small step in that is people beginning to realize that we're all connected and we're interdependent on each other, even just as a human society in our environment.
Exactly. Yes.
And we understand now that you've really shifted a lot of your energy and time and study to creating a sustainable future on Earth. Can you share some of your thoughts on the subject?
Well, it goes with what we've just been talking about. By and large, there's nothing wrong with profits and nothing wrong with we have to all make a living. But when the profit motive, as it's become in our major corporations, in our major ways, major economics, when the profit motive dominates everything, and service to the greater good and to our connectedness takes a second place, that's where we've gone wrong. And that is why, in my opinion, it's important that we bring this whole notion of mind, consciousness, and service to each other and cooperation back into primary focus, because we seem to have lost that. And since we've seemed to have gone through here in the last 2 years, virtually a collapse of the economy, the world economy, because of this very thing. Hopefully we'll learn a major lesson from it and start to get things turned around here in the near future.
Do you have any advice for young people who want to learn about and support this vision? Many of the young people, they care. They feel the pain and they want to become part of this mission. What advice would you have for young people just finishing high school, beginning university, that really want to support and make a difference as part of this vision for a sustainable Earth?
Well, just one of the things that we have, of course, is the new Internet. That allows us to communicate around the world much more easily. And I do point out to the young people, have hope, look for it. And I point out with the modern technology, they have more computing power in their cell phone than we had to go to the moon. And that's quite a statement, but it's very true. So all they have to do is take the connections, the connectivity that we have through the Internet and with each other, and learn to use it for the betterment of humankind and to work together to accomplish great solutions for the betterment of humankind and for the betterment of each other, than for purely the motive of making more money. And when we learn to do that, it'll all start to work, I believe.
Absolutely wonderful words, wonderful words. I'm dwelling on those for a moment, but I'll try not to lose pace here because I know your schedule is quite full. Another question that comes up, it's hard to imagine, again, a lot of the things that you've experienced firsthand. Also, one thing it's hard to imagine, the incredible amount of courage that it took to trust the engineering, to actually go into space and to walk on the moon. Of course, we all understand that, an incredible brave act, but can you share any other stories with the youth about other life-changing moments that you had that required incredible personal courage or drove insight in your life and experience here on Earth?
Well, sure. Let me tell you the beginning of the space experience, because that's kind of how it all started. When I graduated from college in 1952, the Korean War was on, and in the United States we had the draft, or compulsory military service, and I was suddenly subject to being drafted to go fight in the Korean War. And I was already a pilot because I'd learned to fly when I was quite young, just a teenager, and had a pilot's license at this point. And I said, if I must go into the military, I want to be a pilot. So I went into the military as a pilot. Rather, I joined the Navy, then I got a commission, then I went to flight school and became a Navy pilot. By that time, the war was just about over, and I was serving on an aircraft carrier coming back to the United States to test pilot duty because I had been designated a test pilot in October 1957. And the great historical event at that point was the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. And I realized humans would be right behind robot spacecraft. And I realized that this was a whole new era in the human experience, and I wanted to be part of it. So it was again the excitement of the explorer and the excitement of innovation and finding a new way to contribute that and being able to do it in a peaceful operation as opposed to a war operation was most exciting to me. So I spent the rest. I came back then. I did my test pilot duty. I went back and got more education at a major technical institute, MIT, got a doctor's degree, and that set me on the path to go to the moon.
Absolutely amazing, incredible history and story. What about, we have many young people here who are eagerly asking the question, if they'd like to learn more about themselves and they want to study more, for example, about the subject matter of the Noetic Institute, that specific field, where would you recommend they turn?
Well, certainly going on to the website of noetic.org, and it's being revamped and improved. We're redoing the site. It should be coming online, as a matter of fact, this week, with a whole new series of programs and opportunities to learn exactly in the areas that you're talking about. Now, they can need to be a little patient because part of this is brand new. Now, we've been in operation almost 40 years and doing a lot of research, but at this point, thanks to, perhaps you read Dan Brown's new book, The Lost Symbol, that came out last year, in which noetics is very prominently mentioned throughout it. It's made us virtually an international organization. So if the young people want to go onto the website of www.noetic.org, they will start to see opportunities, I believe, that will be very useful in just the areas you're talking about.
Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell. One last question is, as all these young students prepare to begin their adult lives and careers, is there any parting advice or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with them as they move forward?
The main thing is to have faith in yourself. Know that you can do it. Keep on going and keep this vision in view of making a difference and being a part of the greater good and serving the greater good, which all the great thinkers and all the great people who have made a difference in the past have to have faith in themselves that they are serving a useful purpose. And if you think you're doing that and you're devoted to serving the greater good, you will succeed.
Absolutely wonderful, Dr. Mitchell. I think when I look at our youth today here, with the explosion of information and connectivity, they're going to face challenges as well as opportunities no previous generation have seen. And I can't think of any other words better than what you said. And also one thing you said before was to have hope and look for it. I thank you so much, sir. And on behalf of everybody again, this Academy, the World Genesis Foundation, and the United Nations, thank you so much for taking the time.
And I wish all of our young people here and all of the participants working with them the very best for the coming year and for the life to come.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. That means a lot.